Hello, and a very special welcome to our Histio community and listeners. I'm Kathy Wisniewski, host of the Histiocytosis Association's Beyond the Diagnosis podcast, and we are so excited to welcome you to our fourth annual HopeCast. The HopeCast is our Giving Tuesday live stream to share how your funding has fueled us throughout the year. You might be wondering, well, what is Giving Tuesday? Well, Giving Tuesday is a global day of generosity that was started in 2012 and takes place every year on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And we like to think of it as our opportunity to give back to you just a little bit in appreciation for all of the support that you've given us over the years. And in the spirit of hope, we hope this live stream inspires you to continue your generous support of the association's mission and core pillars of awareness, education, and research. We are so honored to have people watching on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and we offer a heartfelt welcome to every single one of you. We love when we get to have these opportunities to connect with you on a more personal level, and we're so excited to spend this next hour with you. We would love to hear from you along the way, so go ahead and feel free to leave your comments on whatever platform you're in. Maybe start by telling us where you're tuning in from tonight, but you will have to be logged into your account in order to comment. Did you know that we are on the threshold of our 40th anniversary? As we close out our 39th year, we want to take this opportunity to reflect on this extraordinary journey, the one that you have helped create, and ask for your hand in helping it grow in the future. Well, before we kick things off, I want to welcome my co-host, Jen Silvers, Executive Director of the Histiocytosis Association. Jen, welcome. Thank you for hosting with me tonight.
Oh my goodness, Kathy, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. And, my first Giving Tuesday as the executive director for the HA. Yeah. And I know we have a great show planned tonight with some really special guests.
We really do. It's going to be an exciting hour for sure. And speaking of special guests, our first guest is Sydney Martin Retstein. She's a Histio warrior and association board member, and she's going to be joining us shortly. But before we bring her on, we'd like to share this impactful video all about Sydney's personal Histio journey.
It is the night before I start my treatments for LCH, and I have to get a port put in me tomorrow. And tonight I'm feeling a little scared and kind of sad because I know I'm really in for a lot.
Langerhans cell histiocytosis is a form of pediatric cancer. It primarily affects children under the age of 10. It presents in such different ways in so many kids that's one of the challenges. It's really something that I never thought I would go through, seeing our daughter put to sleep for surgery, not knowing what they were going to find in the surgery.
I was being poked and prodded. I felt like I had no control whatsoever over my life and what was going to happen to me. There was just something that I wanted to do that would change the entire negative experience into something very positive for me and for others. I've spent all of my summers in New Buffalo, Michigan. The beach there is filled with beautiful stones. When I was little, about 8 years old, I decided to start making necklaces with them and just sell them for $2 to anyone who would buy them.
And every Thursday when she would have chemotherapy, all of our friends would wear our Sid Rock necklaces, and they became known as Sid Rocks. And Sydney, at the age of 10, had the idea to start selling them to fund medical research.
Sydney had been making and selling her necklaces one by one at book sales and fundraising events, and she always felt like it was the right place to be.
Giving Rocks gave that sense of control to me. I could push myself, even when I was sick, to a point that I didn't realize I could.
So far, I have raised $8,000 selling necklaces.
When I see the rocks, I see all of the kids. We want to help in the future. You're never too young to make a difference. And you can get all of these people around you, people who you love and people who care about you, to jump onto whatever cause you're most passionate about and change the world.
Wow, Sydney, welcome to the HopeCast.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to see you both. Thank you for having me on Giving Tuesday at HopeCast. It is such a special day around the country, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, what an incredible story that has spanned so many years of your life. Thank you for documenting your journey and for that incredible glimpse into all you've been through and all the ways you've helped to raise not only awareness, but also funds. It's incredible.
Thank you so much. It's been so long since that video happened. It's been about, I think, 12 or 13 years now. So there's been a lot of changes in life, but it's always good to look back at all those images and videos of the start of everything that kind of shaped my life from my histio journey forward.
Right, absolutely. And you know, those kinds of videos also always remind us of why we do what we do here at the association. So it's always so amazing to see videos like yours. And you've been involved in advocacy and awareness and fundraising since you were obviously very young, as we just saw in that video. What did that mean to you as you were growing up?
I think that the HA really gave me a sense of purpose. And, you know, I was 10 years old when I was diagnosed with LCH, thrown into a completely different world of the hospital setting. It was very unfamiliar to me, going from this really typical average 10-year-old student life, just entering fifth grade. And when I began the Giving Rocks Foundation, selling the rock necklaces, as you guys saw in the video, I got very connected with the HA, and it really became a community for me of people. I met people through the Hike for a Cure, the New York dinner event, just also medical conferences, and just meeting other kids who were facing their battle with LCH. And even when they were much, much younger than me, just being that kind of older sibling type of guider for them meant the world to me, and it definitely shaped the career path that I've chosen for myself as well. So yeah, I mean, it definitely has shaped so much, and the HA means so much to me. Thank you for asking that question, Kathy.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you are doing with your career.
Yes, definitely. So when I was in treatment, when I was 10, I met a very special healthcare professional that is often underlooked in the hospital setting. It is a child life specialist, and my child life specialist in Chicago really helped me cope with my disease and gave me a different outlook on, normalizing the hospital setting through art projects and just like these various creative outlets, and really allowed me to feel like a normal kid again. She also helped me to explain my diagnosis to my fifth grade class at the time and gave me the language to do so and to teach me about my diagnosis. So that kind of shaped the career path that I wanted to choose for myself, because I knew that I always wanted to be involved with different pediatric cancers and in healthcare. But that guided me towards child life specifically. So I ended up being a child life specialist in the general pediatrics unit at a hospital in Chicago for about 4 years, where I worked with kids with many different illnesses, even just post-op, just various reasons for being inpatient in the hospital. But some of them were histio patients, which was incredible for me to see and to have a hand in them, learning their diagnosis and connecting them with the HA. And then after that, so a few years ago, I moved to Atlanta with my husband, and I started working at NMDP, which was formerly known as Be the Match. It is the Bone Marrow and Stem Cell Transplant Registry. So I help I help donors move throughout the whole process from the point that they are designated as a best match for a patient through the time that they're donating, whether it's bone marrow surgically or peripheral blood stem cells. And sometimes I do, in fact, work with HLA patients. So it's also a very full circle moment for me. But it's just a really great way where I feel like I have a hand in this life-saving treatment for others, not just with histio, but a lot of different blood cancers as well. So that's what I'm doing now.
It's really so inspiring to being able to have watched you grow all these years, and then to take your own experience and let that inform your career decisions in order to help others that are coming up behind you. And I just wanted to recognize you for that and say thank you for all of this hard work that you're doing. It's incredible, really.
Thank you. And thank you to the HA. I know, when I was working in the hospital setting, it was hard to find the time to give back to this community. And then once I transitioned into my remote job at NMDP, I was on the podcast with Deanna at the time, and it really just reignited this love to be part and active in this community that's so incredible. And then I became a patient ambassador, and now I'm a member of the board of trustees, which I'm incredibly honored to be serving on that board and do whatever I can within our community.
That was actually the next question I was going to ask you was about your role on the board and what inspired you, and tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you.
I would say, honestly, this board position is a lifelong dream of mine. I don't think if I told my young self in that video at 10 years old that I would be, a healthcare professional with all of these interesting experiences helping others, and now being able to, sit alongside these incredible people who are also on the board of trustees. I'm very lucky to have a seat at the table. And I hope that, my insights from child life and from my experience as a patient can be of service to our community.
I love that so much. Well, I would love to know what message of hope you would like to leave our viewers with today.
Oh, goodness. Well, I did have a little something that I wanted to say about Dr. McLean, who I know will be joining us in just a bit, if that's okay with you, Kathy. But
Sure.
I just wanted to kind of give him a little introduction before Jen gives him an introduction a little bit later. But just wanted to say that Dr. McLean had a huge role in my own treatment. And I was part of one of his early clinical trials, and just being under his care and supervision gave me and my family just this sense of that we were safe and well taken care of. And then later that year, I got the chance to meet him at that New York Athletic Club dinner. And it just proved that not only is he brilliant, but also he's just like very humble and giving, and makes you feel like you're very special to him. So definitely the best bedside manner of any doctor I've ever met, for sure. And then in terms of hope for the future for this community, I see so many things for us. I'm just excited to be there and to try to lend a hand in any way that I can. I think we're on the precipice of so many incredible things, research-wise, awareness-wise. That's definitely a huge focus for me. Is I would love for every member of the multidisciplinary team in the hospital to know what histio is and to be able to describe it to any patient that they come by. And I will do whatever I can to make that happen. I just wanted to say that if you are, a newly diagnosed patient or family who's watching, that you have a incredible family around you, that you will find in the HA, that it's really unlike any other rare disease community or any disease community. We really stick with each other and provide each other with resources and support in any way possible. And my door is always open. I would love to put my email in the chat if anyone would want to reach out to me, even if it's just to say hi or, anything I can provide to anyone. I'm happy to connect and chat a little bit more.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so
Sydney,
much.
you're amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Thank you.
We're so grateful to have you as part of our board and just part of the community. So thank you for everything.
I'm grateful to be here, and let's raise money and awareness. And, Giving Tuesday is a very important day. So thank you guys.
Well, before you go, as a member of the board, you have a very important announcement to make.
I do, yes. So our board match this year is $15,000, which I'm really excited to share that news. I know Jen is too. But yeah, I just wanted to leave that with you all before I depart and and Jen introduces our future guests.
Incredible. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Sydney.
Well,
Hello, my name is Tracy Brown. Since 2006, when my son Ian was diagnosed with Langerhans cell histiocytosis, my family and I have volunteered for the Histiocytosis Association to help raise awareness and support important research and family programs. We host an annual fundraising event, Histio Hike Shenandoah, and since 2014, I've been a member of the Board of Trustees. In my capacity as the current board chair of the association, I have the unique opportunity to see the impact that every donation makes to our mission. Your gift fuels groundbreaking research and gives families hope. Please join me in giving to the Histiocytosis Association before the year ends. Thank you for making a difference to our histio community.
Thank you so much, Tracy. You've just been an extraordinary leader, and you are so dedicated to the HA, and so grateful for everything that you do for us. Now we want to welcome our next guest, Mr. Garen Moore. Now, we met Garen and his daughter Gianna at our Patient and Family Summit earlier this year in Seattle, Washington. Garen is a 44-year-old single father from New Jersey, and he was diagnosed with Langerhans cell sarcoma in 2022. And he was later also diagnosed with LCH with multi-system involvement. Garen, thank you so much for being here. You have had quite a journey with your diagnosis, but you have had such a positive outlook the whole way. So tell me, what keeps you so positive? How do you keep that smile on your face? And also talk to us a little bit about how you found the HA.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That seminar was absolutely amazing. I can't even describe how much that changed my life. But what keeps me positive is my daughter. My daughter keeps me motivated, determined not to lose. I love her with all my heart. So my histio journey started back in 2022. I actually was in a truck accident before that, so I was actually getting treated for that. And I wound up going to the doctors one day because I had a cyst in my bottom area, and they took me back in surgery. And they did surgery. They said it was an abscess. They didn't really think nothing of it. It was just one doctor that said it looked kind of weird, so he wanted to do a biopsy on it. And I got the results back in my chart probably about 3 days later, and it said Langerhans cell sarcoma. And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know what that was. I had to Google. I'm on my computer. All I seen was rare cancer. And I got a call from the hospital the next Monday, the following Monday morning to come in. And they told me I had a rare cancer called Langerhans cell sarcoma. And my mind just racing. I can't even process it. It's happening so fast. They referred me to Penn Medicine in Philadelphia to Dr. Nasca. And once she heard about it, she sent me through a lot of testing, bone marrow biopsy, skeletal surveys, tons of blood work, PET scan, of course. And once I got the PET scan done, I realized I had a tumor in my pituitary, my right ear, my thymus gland. And it was just a shock. It was a shock. I hopped right into surgery. I got my thymus gland removed. I got a lot of skin area removed from my bottom from where this Langerhans cell sarcoma was. Right after that, I jumped into chemotherapy. 3 weeks after surgery, I went right into chemotherapy, and everything was just happening so fast. It was just a lot to process. I didn't even really understand what was going on. I just kept hearing the word rare, rare, rare.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was, I'm smiling now, but at the time I wasn't. It was really just mind blowing. Because I pride myself on my physical health. I was an athlete all my life, and this can happen to anybody. And I learned that. It was a humbling experience. Going through the treatment and the diagnosis, and once I got the invite to come to Seattle, at that time I was in a really, really, really dark place. Honestly, I was frustrated. I got frustrated with hearing the word rare. I got frustrated with the treatment. I got frustrated with not knowing. I'm in Penn Medicine, and there's thousands of people dealing with they battle with cancer. At
So
the
talk
same
more about.
time,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted you to talk more about how the summit. What was it about the summit that brought you from that dark place that you mentioned and really has put this smile on your face that we love to see?
The summit was it was something I was about to not go to. I was at the point of giving up. I was about to quit everything. I didn't want to go to the doctors anymore or nothing. What happened was I had a long talk with my daughter. At the time, she was 11. That's one of the toughest conversations to have, to tell your daughter that you have cancer. Kids only know cancer and death, and that's it. So that was one of the toughest conversations I ever had to have, was telling her that I had cancer. And her one question was, well, how do we fight it? I couldn't answer it at the time. I couldn't answer it. I didn't know. You hear fight cancer, fight cancer, fight cancer, but you don't know exactly what the details of fighting cancer meant. So I seen something online. Something just was telling me to go. I talked to Christine, and right before I was about to go, and we had a great conversation. And I was like, yo, I know I need to go here. So when my daughter packed up and went, going up the elevator to the seminar, I was so nervous. I was so nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what she was going to be exposed to. But the moment them doors opened, we turned that corner. We was just met with smiles, hugs, love, bags of goodies.
We're good at that. We're very good at that.
It just was like, it was very comforting and humbling right from the start. Everybody smiling, everybody asking you, your story. I felt that was the right place for me to be. Even at Penn Medicine, there's tons of people fighting cancer. I still felt alone. Once I came to the seminar, I felt welcomed and I felt a part of a family immediately. We all from different walks of life. We all was battling LCH in different ways, but we always there for one purpose. And that seminar changed my life, literally. It changed my daughter's life too, because it helped her understand.
She was very active. She was very active at that event. I saw her taking notes and asking questions, and we walked together during the 5K, the Blue Ribbon Run. You, me, and Gianna walked together, and she is a remarkable young lady. And you mentioned it was her birthday yesterday. I think we need to give a shout out to Gianna and a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Gianna.
Thank Thank you so much, man. That seminar is amazing, man. Just from the start to the finish, like listening to the doctors. I even thought some patients was doctors. So they were so well they were so well informed on the terminologies and that seminar to me was the perfect example of humanity in its purest form. Like you got people there sharing these stories, very vulnerable, sharing personal stories, and we all just be from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and we come together for one cause and one purpose because we want answers and we want to fight and we want to fight together. And that opened my eyes and made me feel very humble and grateful and appreciated. Actually, I felt very appreciated by everybody that was there. Hugs, smiles, and
Well, we
everything.
appreciate you, Garen, more than I can say, honestly. Before we go, I want to ask you one last question.
Okay.
So, what would you tell somebody as to why they should support what the work that we're doing at the Histiocytosis Association?
I would tell them this is how you fight. Um, you fight by supporting, you fight by sharing, you fight by listening. And the Histio Association, it brought a new meaning to the disease that I have. Like it helped me understand, it helped me connect with other people. It gave me a lot of information that I didn't have. And I would tell people like, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. It's going to get dark. It's going to get lonely. It's going to get frustrating. But platforms like the History Association is why you don't give up because they help you, they guide you, they point you in the right direction. They ask you, "Are you okay?" That's all. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just ask you, "Are you okay? How you feeling?" Um, the History Association provide that family atmosphere, like that very smile right there, like everybody's smiling, and you need that because you get to dark moments. You're going to get to dark moments. The people that's newly diagnosed that don't understand, you're going to get to dark. You're going to get to them dark moments. But at those times, that's when you trust in your support system and the History Association, the people that's willing to help you, point you in the right direction, and give you information and give you good things like this to wear. And it's I just feel so grateful for the History Association for everything you did for me, and not just me, y'all did for my daughter because she needed to understand what was going on. The History Association provided that for her.
Awesome. Well, Garen, you say you're appreciative of us, and I have to tell you, we're appreciative of you. And Gianna, you guys have really, the patient family conference event, that was my first event coming in as the new executive director. And so I think you and I are both feeling the nerves a little bit together. And I think that's what helped bond us a little bit. So just so appreciative of you. And, I love your smile. I love, I'm always asking Kristen, have you talked to Garen? Have you talked to Garen? So again, thank you so much for being here. And we're so happy to have you as part of the family. So again, thank you, Garen.
Yes, anything I could do to help. I thought fighting cancer was just about me trying to cure myself, but it's not. It's about sharing your story and hoping your story impacts somebody else. It's History Association that told me that at that seminar. It's not just about me, it's bigger than me. It's about helping others and spreading the word. And I hope my story, somebody out there hears it and can take from it.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm sure it has, Garen. I'm sure it has. And we're so happy to see how you've connected to the association. And, there's so many ways for people to connect through our volunteer programs. We have an ambassador program. And right now, we actually have a very special message from one of our very dedicated ambassadors, and his name is Tim Mortar.
Hi, my name is Tim. I am a volunteer advocate for the Histiocytosis Association. Our group of folks is responsible to support others, raise awareness to other medical institutions, and provide funds for research into a cure or treatment for these rare diseases. Please give generously, as I do, by scanning the QR code in the corner, and happy holidays.
Wow, what a great message from Tim. Tim, thank you so much. That was amazing. Well, for the past 39 years, because of your compassion and generosity, we have awarded nearly $8 million in research funding, powering discoveries that are transforming how histiocytic disorders are understood and treated. And that number is about to go even higher as we get ready to award the latest round of grantees by the end of this month. We've been able to connect patients and families with leading experts and each other, providing answers and comfort and direction when few others could, just like Garen shared with us a few moments ago. And together we have built a strong, compassionate community, one that reminds every person touched by Histio that they are not alone. If you would like to make a year-end donation so we can continue this very important work, you can do so via the QR code that's up at the top of your screen, or you can find our website address along the bottom of the screen, histio.org/give2025. And don't forget about the board match that Sydney shared with us a little bit earlier. The board is going to match every dollar up to $15,000 for Giving Tuesday, so be sure to get your gift in. Next up, we have a very special story from the Rubin family. So Rubens, thank you for being here. Welcome to the HopeCast. We have Jack and Chad and Christy. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Well, we would love for you to share a little bit about your own Histio journey and everything you went through with Jack all those years ago.
Should we want to start?
So unlike the last two stories that you heard from, Sydney was older and Garen was even older than her. Jack was diagnosed at 9 weeks old. So we had an infant at home and we thought he had cradle cap, and not too far into our first trip to the hospital, we heard the words Langerhans cell histiocytosis, and that's when our world changed. Go.
I was going to say the journey of this conversation will be Christy trying to tell a story and crying, and then Jack will start laughing. So Jack was 9 weeks old, pale. Took him to the doctor, and they took some blood, and then we went home. They thought it was a virus. We were actually on vacation down in Delaware, and he was still sick. We called our doctor at home, and he said, "You know what? You just have a couple days left on your trip. Why don't you bring him home?" And we went to a hospital here in Springfield, Summit, New Jersey. He took one look at him and said, "All right, this is a very sick baby." So we were there for 7 days and ended up transferring to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia before a diagnosis. At CHOP, they did a lot of tests and then took a skin biopsy, and that came back positive for Langerhans cell histiocytosis. So they were throwing around a lot of cancers, leukemia, which were very hard to hear. And we thought when we got the diagnosis of Langerhans cell histiocytosis,
We're lucky.
we were out of the woods. And I think in a lot of cases, it is a less severe disease, but Jack's was multi-system. It was in his bone marrow, his spleen, his liver, his skin, his sinuses, a lot of places. So from that point on, Christy and Jack stayed at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia for 19 months. And I lived at home during the week and went back and forth on Thursday nights to spend the weekends with them. It was a tough journey. They started with the initial treatments with vinblastine and prednisone. Jack's disease didn't respond to that, so they went on to a treatment they use for salvage therapy for leukemia, which was Ara-C2-CDA. And that had a little bit of an effect, but very awful side effects. So he actually got a little better for a few weeks, but then the disease was still there and very aggressive. So we actually went down the path of a bone marrow transplant, which is pretty rare for LCH. So we started to prep. They put him into the registry and put him on some bridging therapies to keep the disease at bay. They actually found a donor, a woman named Karen in Germany, who we talk with quite a bit now. And within about a month of finding Karen, he was getting his first bone marrow transplant. So he had prepped for that, got his first bone marrow transplant. It did not actually take the first time because he had something called a reduced intensity conditioning. So not to wipe out all of his cells. So they decided to do a booster, which also didn't help. And then they went back to the donor, Karen. So she actually gave twice and got more bone marrow or peripheral blood stem cells. And they did a more intense conditioning regimen. And after that, he started to get better. It was a long road, but and now you can see he's a freshman at University of Tampa. He is a perfectly healthy guy. He has a lot of scars from a lot of different surgeries, including getting a spleen removed and some different things. And the only real lasting thing he needs to do is take amoxicillin because he's asplenic and he lost his spleen very young. And I guess a mustache is also a side effect of his yeah. So it was an amazing journey. It was sort of looking back, and when we read about it, it's sort of people are like, how'd you get through that? And people that were witnessing from the outside, it was really a day at a time. I guess it was his doctors never gave up hope. His oncologist, Dr. Hogarty at CHOP, and his transplant doctor, Dr. Bunnan. They never really gave up hope. There was always something there, and
kind of gave up hope a little bit.
The transplant doctor was kind of like, his oncologist never gave up hope. The transplant doctor we actually had that. They came in and had a talk with us. Sort of when's enough, and miraculously he kind of rebounded at that point of that conversation. So it
But Jack is their miracle story. So
you don't hear miracle come out of transplant doctors' mouths very much.
Wow. No, so you a lot of times people rely on the internet for support. I honestly can tell you I did not look on the internet one time in the 19 months that we were in the hospital. I trusted the doctor's opinions. And one thing Dr. Hogarty always said was, like, you have to look at the patient and how the patient is responding. And as sick as Jack was, he was always, clapping his hands and playing his instruments and listening to stories and being like his same goofy self. So, maybe I didn't get information on the internet, but we did find the Histiocytosis Association on the internet. And through that, through the support of that, we made so many friends. Chad mentioned that Jack had his spleen removed. The day of his surgery, one of the nurses knocked on the door and said, you have a visitor. And we said, a visitor? I wasn't expecting anyone. Our family was all there. It was a parent who had lost her child to HLH that had taken a trip from, where are they from? North Carolina, drove from North Carolina to come and be there for us. Just because she had been following Jack's story on care pages, because that's what it was like before Facebook or anything when he got diagnosed. And we have Lisa Greathouse will forever hold that special place in our heart. So, you find families and friends that you just, I don't know, when you're going through something similar to someone else, it's a friendship that you just, you can't describe it. People know when you need something and they show up. So that's what the Histiocytosis Association gave us.
Wow. Now, Jack, I'm sure that you've heard this story a million times, but what goes through your mind when you hear about everything that you went through at such a young age?
I don't really know what to think because, I don't remember much, but I'm just thankful I'm here, and I'm happy to share my story and inspire others.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you're up to now. What are you studying?
I'm studying sports management. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. And I don't know what else. Going back for break soon after finals.
Nice.
Tell us how the first semester of college has been, because you're a freshman at UT, right? University of Tampa, for those that don't know.
It's fun. It's a fun time. A lot of work, but it's fun.
Awesome.
Good. Well, Chad, I would love to hear from you. What you are a member of the board of trustees as well for the association. I'd love to hear from you what inspired you to become involved, and what does that role mean to you?
Yeah. So we actually, our friends, when Jack was still 6, started. They put on a fundraiser called All Jacked Up. It was in the city, New York. We live near New York, at a club, and it was just a good way for them to raise some money for the association.
Well, at the time, it was originally for medical bills. They didn't know how much.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's true. But
It turned into a
donation because our insurance probably begrudgingly ended up paying for almost all of Jack's care, which was nice. But yeah, so, and then when Jack got home, we decided we wanted to carry that on. So we carried on All Jacked Up, with the proceeds going to mostly the histiocytosis and some to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We thought of setting up sort of our own charity, and rather than do that, we actually leaned on the Histiocytosis Association a little more for additional help as we continue to do that event. And of course, they were there to help us do that. And just through doing that and speaking with everybody at the association, Jeff, who I believe was the founder of the association, asked me if I'd like to be on the board, and I happily said yes, and been doing it for probably 6 years, 7 years.
And you're not going anywhere anytime soon, right?
No. Yeah, I think it was very interesting. Everybody talks about it being a rare disease, and it doesn't get a lot of government funding because of that. So I work in the biotech industry. I'm not a doctor or scientist. I'm on the business side, but I actually work with a lot of rare disease companies, and thinking I knew most rare diseases, so there's a lot more than you could imagine. When he was diagnosed with Langerhans, I did not know anything about that disease. So it was sort of digging in, knowing what I knew. I knew a lot of questions to ask the doctors. Like I said, Dr. Hogarty. And it was also nice that, those doctors communicate very closely too. I think there's something to be said to getting to one of the big centers where they have the expertise, but they're also lending each other advice and thoughts on their cases. So I know Dr. Hogarty, Dr. McLean probably doesn't remember, but he did review Jack's case at one point for Dr. Hogarty, and there was another doctor at Hopkins who passed away called Dr. Arcesi that also had a big say in Jack's case and how to treat it. So, a lot of those doctors are brought together through the Histiocytosis Society, which is associated with the association. So, outside of directly funding research, they're also helping in building the community, not just of patients and caregivers, but the doctors themselves, so they have a way to communicate for what are the best treatments, what are the new treatments, what are the new drugs that are coming out, and then there's also very exciting drugs that are being developed that aren't even approved just yet, but those are getting funded through grants and things like Histiocytosis Association, but also just through direct investment from people that invest in things like that. So it's a small organization, but it does find itself in the middle of a lot of big institutions and also companies that are on the front lines trying to fight this disease.
Excellent. Well, Jack, we will end this portion with you. Do you have any kind of message of hope that you would like to leave our audience with tonight?
Just stay positive. If you're battling, just stay positive, fight through it, and keep your head up.
Awesome. Well, Reuben family, thank you so much for being with us tonight, for everything you've done for the Histio community over all of these years, and for the ways that you've been involved. We're so excited to continue to watch and follow Jack as he follows his dreams. And it's been really great having you here tonight. So thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for asking us to join.
Thank you.
You bet. Well, next we have another short video that we'd love to share with you.
I'm Emma, and I would like to say thank you. Thanks to donors like you, families facing Histio know they're not alone. As we approach the end of this year, I invite you to keep that hope alive. Your gift, no matter the size, matters more than you know. Thank you.
So awesome, Ame. Thank you so much for that message. So we are to a very special place in our broadcast tonight. But first, I do want to remind everybody, you heard earlier in the broadcast about the board matching gift. So we are so close to our $15,000.
Oh,
so
that's great news.
We are currently, do I share the number now, Kathy, or do we wait?
That's up to you.
Oh gosh, we'll wait. We'll just say we are extremely, extremely close. And we've had some very large gifts come in today. And tonight we got word of a very generous $4,000 gift that came in today.
Incredible.
So we have some incredible people out here, and we're so thankful. So now to probably the moment I think everyone's been waiting for. As you heard Kathy mention earlier, research is a key component for what the Histiocytosis Association funds each and every year. Like Kathy said, we have 4 new grant recipients that we will be announcing in a few short weeks. But one person that knows the impact of funding research and someone who really doesn't need an introduction to this community at all is Dr. Ken McLean, and he joins us now. Hi, Dr. McLean.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this very special evening. You are so loved and admired by so many people in the Histio community, and I know our viewers are just so excited to hear from you tonight. So my first question is, why Histio? What led you to this specialty so many years ago?
Well, I think it began at the University of Minnesota, where I did my fellowship, and Dr. Mark Nesbitt and some of the pathologists there had special interest in the histiocytic diseases, and I was just captured by their enthusiasm. And one of the pivotal moments was during my first year of fellowship. I had to do bone marrow exams, and I learned the morphology of bone marrow, and we had to go out and do the bone marrow tests on adult patients, which wasn't my favorite thing to do. But anyway, I went out and I saw a patient who was a renal transplant patient who had a cytomegalovirus infection. He had a big spleen, low blood counts, and fevers. And we kind of suspected he had something that at that time we called virus-associated hemophagocytic syndrome, more clearly known as HLH nowadays. And I came back and the bone marrow was stained, and I looked at it under the microscope, and there were all these cells eating their neighbors like Pac-Man. And I just thought that was the most fascinating thing. And so although I did research in other areas, when I came to Texas in 1986, started focusing on the histiocytic diseases. And since then, the interest and time I spend with this endeavor has grown and grown. So that's where it all started.
And where it all started has led to something very special lately, Kathy.
Yes, at the recent Histiocyte Society meeting in Seattle, you were awarded the Golden Pin. Now, this is an award that started all the way back in 1998 and is meant to honor and acknowledge those who have made a significant impact in the world of histiocytosis. Tell us what it was like to receive that recognition.
Oh, it was very special because a lot of the leaders in the world of the histiocytic diseases have received those honors over the course of time. Helmut Godner, who was the physician from Vienna, Austria, who was in charge of the LCH 1, 2, and 3 studies, and some of the eminent pathologists, such as Ron, I'm blocking on his, Ron Jaffe from Pittsburgh, who was one of the key people who established the diagnostic criteria for the histoiocytic diseases as well as Blaise Favera. So it's a very special company, and I'm honored to be part of it.
Well, congratulations again on that amazing honor, Dr. McLean. So I've heard some stories about an event called the Big Fix. Now, I wasn't a part of the association back then, but what can you tell me about this event? Bike riding?
Yeah, we several of us did kind of an extraordinary bike ride. In 2005, a father of a LCH patient from Davis, California, called me and he said, I think we need to raise money for research, and I'd like to organize a bike ride across the country, and would you like to be part of it? And I was quite a triathlete in those days, so I said, sure, I'll be glad to join. I can ride my triathlon bike. And Joe said, no. That's not the way this is going to be done. We're going to ride fixed gear bikes, which means there's no changing of gears, and you're pedaling up the hill and you're pedaling down the hill. But there's one little twist on this bicycle, and that is that you have a gear on one side of the wheel to go up the hill and a gear on the other side of the wheel to go down the hill. And so if you're going up the hill and you've just come down, you've got to take your Allen wrench, loosen the wheel, switch it around to the other gear, tighten it up, tighten the wrenches, and then go up or down the hill. So 5 of us bicycled all the way across the United States from Davis, California to Boston, which is not a straight line if you look at the map, and it ended up being 3,500 miles. We did it in 27 days. And this is Brent Adams, who was one of my patients here in Houston, and he was working on a Boy Scout bicycling merit badge, and so he and I went for a 50-mile ride here in Houston, which was pretty flat, as you know, compared to the mountains. And in our cross-country ride, we climbed 110,000 feet over 7 mountain ranges, and it's pretty close to what the Tour de France people do, but of course we were a lot slower. It took us 27 days instead of 2 weeks. But anyway, it was a big adventure. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I did. It was one of the most incredible experiences. And we raised $300,000 for the HAA.
Wow, I'm speechless for all of it. I mean, having to change your gears manually before going up or down a hill, riding that long. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So my next question was going to be, what might be something that your patients would be surprised to know about you? You may have just answered that question, but is there anything else that folks might be surprised to know?
I've done a lot of unusual things in my life, and I paid for my college education by not only playing my trumpet and driving a truck and being a lab assistant, but I also dug graves by hand. And my brothers and I worked in a cemetery, and we literally dug graves by hand. And we raked leaves and we trimmed trees by hand. And that was for 5 years. I made a lot of money doing that, so I was able to pay my way through college.
Wow. And if you weren't in medicine, if you hadn't gone to medical school, what do you think you would be doing?
Well, I was really fascinated with archaeology, and I was captivated by a book about the pyramids and all of the things that were hidden in ancient civilizations. So I think that that might have been a path I'd taken, but I was pretty much cut out for medicine at an early age. I was very captivated by our wonderful pediatrician, who was just a magnificent guy, and he actually made house calls too. And he was very inspiring. And so I think from early junior high school on, I was kind of slated for medicine.
Well, and I think you're in the right place. And we heard Sydney earlier state you had the best bedside manner of anyone that she'd ever worked with. So I think that says a lot. Dr. McLean, what can you say what have you seen changed the most in treatment with histio disorders since you started working with this disease?
Well, the use of the inhibitor drugs has been just an amazing sea change of therapies that we have that are more specifically targeting the mutations that cause the diseases, and they work incredibly well. But the bad news is if you stop them, the patient relapses. So we have been working in our clinic to find ways to get rid of those dirty little cells that keep coming back when you stop inhibitors. And so we've developed a protocol that we're going to roll out in the near future where we treat patients with both chemotherapy and the inhibitors. And we published a paper this summer which showed that patients who have circulating BRAF cells are at the highest risk for relapse and the highest risk for getting brain involvement. And so we've devised a new staging index for patients based upon whether they have multiple lesions or single lesion, whether they have the BRAF in their blood or not, and using a combination of the various clinical and laboratory tests, we can put patients in different categories. It's quite a radical change from the standard low risk, high risk categorization that's been used for decades. And so we're going to be using a more aggressive chemotherapy, clofarabine, along with the inhibitors for some patients. But that's still a sort of a concept that's being discussed, and haven't really rolled it out, but I think in the near future, some flavor of that will be used.
Well, and it's interesting that you touch on that because we talked a little bit about the importance of research and the funding that the HA and others provide towards research. So can you talk a little bit about, you touched a little bit about where the future is kind of headed as far as some treatments go, but what about the importance of the fundraising so that we're able to fund research as we move forward?
Well, the fundraising, the ground work that you do and the HistioCure Foundation and other people, all the philanthropy that goes to provide researchers with seed money to do risky projects from which they can get some data that builds into a story which is very convincing to the National Institutes of Health, to other foundations who fund research. And that seed money, which comes from groups like yours, has been instrumental in giving our group, as well as other groups in the country, the ability to get the data, which is very convincing to these big organizations to get the big money, because it really takes big money to do this research. It's nice to have seed money, but to maintain a lab with several people, to buy all the supplies and equipment, and to have the infrastructure of clinical research organizations to help you run the trials in a proper way is a very expensive endeavor. And we've been fortunate over the years, and I have to thank my colleague, Dr. Carl Allen, for not only his brilliant research, but his incredible grant writing ability and also manuscript writing ability, but to show the value of doing and to provide the facts that show that there's a lot of new things that are happening and ways that we can help people in better ways.
Well, that's amazing. And we're so honored to have you here tonight on this broadcast and so appreciative for everything that you have done for the histio community. And you're the local celebrity of the histio world. So we are just, again, honored and so grateful to have you on here tonight. So thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to just let the folks get to know a little bit more about you and what's going on with the latest treatments.
Sure, well, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad to see my friends and see some new people too.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. McLean. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Well, man, you could talk to him for
amazing.
hours. You talk to him for hours.
Absolutely.
We have some exciting news, Kathy, that I feel like we need to share. We are less than, should we do a drum roll?
I can't roll my R's. So.
We are less than $1,000 away from hitting our $15,000 goal for Giving Tuesday,
which is actually our $30,000.
Right?
Incredible.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Absolutely incredible. But keep in mind, folks, those of you who are watching, it is not too late to make your gift. If you can't make it tonight, we have until December 31st to finish off our year-end giving. So just because Giving Tuesday comes to an end doesn't mean the year-end giving campaign comes to an end. So Kathy, anything you want to add before we visit our last guest video tonight?
Well, I would just like to say thank you to Sydney and to Garen and to the Rubin family and to Dr. McLean for spending their time with us here and for giving messages of hope in this holiday season. And it's just been such an honor to be here. And it's been so fun doing this with you for the first time. So
it has been fun.
Yeah.
This is great, Kathy. Thank you so much. Happy to do this. And I guess we're on for next year too, huh?
I guess so.
Now, we just got another donation in. So thank you, Nancy. So that just hit the books. So keep them coming in, folks. We are getting so close.
So close.
We are going to end our show tonight with one final special message from another ambassador and Histio survivor. And her name is Diana Mosley. Thank you all for tuning in and making the Histiocytosis Association a part of your year-end giving. Thanks you all.
Everyone.
Hello, my name is Diana Mosley. I'm a survivor and a proud ambassador at the Histiocytosis Association, where we believe in community, hope, and research. Thank you so much for your support. We've already been able to invest more than $7 million in research, but there is still so much more we can do. Your year-end gift can help bring us one step closer to finding answers and a cure. So please join us by giving your year-end gift today. And happy holidays!